Good afternoon. This is Dr. Slay, and I'm here to talk about the case study assignment, which is the major assignment due at the end of reading 521. So let's look here. You should be seeing my screen. It says case study assignment for older students reading intervention. Um, this assignment is meant to be a culmination of everything that you have learned, where you will be working with a student that you can find, hopefully in the schools where you're working, or someone that you know if you are not in a setting where you can find someone who is older. This student really needs to be, oh, look at this. It should be someone in grades 4 through somewhere grades 4 through 12, hopefully a little bit older, but you want your older readers. I would really strive for someone that is in middle school or high school because that is the focus of this class. But your point, here we go, 4 through 12. So identify an older student to work with for this case study. Hopefully you've already read this assignment and have started looking for someone to work with. This student should have some reading challenges. Now, how do you know if they have reading challenges? You can use assessment data from STAR, from anything else that the teacher might have. You might have to pull some teachers and say, hey, who can I work with? I suggest that you work with someone for about 8 different sessions over the course of time so that you can try to find some significant impact. So you can choose a student from wherever that works. You might need to work with this teacher to get the scheduling in. You might need to, and you're thinking, gosh, but I also have a job. How am I supposed to do that? You can do it in a tutoring session. You can do it during your planning period. You might do it before school. You can do it in a variety of different ways that work for you. Let me know if you have any trouble finding someone. I don't know that I can find someone for you, but we can talk through the various different ways that you can work through this. You might possibly need to get a permission slip from the parents for this student. That's something between you and the teacher, the district, and whatever the parameters are there. If you need something formal in writing because it's connected to this course, by all means, let me know. I will tell you that you do not have to reveal the real name of you want to keep it masked because we want to protect the identity of this student. This is a case study assignment. It is not a research project, unless that's something you want to do, which means we have to get IRB approval, and that's a whole nother process, but it's always a possibility. So you're going to be collecting the assessment data that you can find from the teacher, where they can tell you. It can be their informal assessment, it can be data, or it can be formal data, but you have to have a starting point to find where it is that this student struggles in reading. You're going to work with the student for about 8 times over the course of time, maybe like once a week. And now that we're about halfway through the course, perhaps starting right after spring break would really be a good time. Maybe the first week is simply to get to know the student and develop a rapport with the student. Maybe give your own informal assessment to kind of get your head wrapped around where the student is. And then in that same week, if you're in a crunch time, you can maybe meet again a few days later to start working through the intervention plan that you designed for this student. When you submit your final report, you are going to be submitting a profile and some background information about the student, explaining the student's history, their strengths, their weaknesses, their interests, things that impact this student's reading development and learning. Describe the reading difficulties in specific detail, including whether it's a decoding problem, fluency, comprehension, vocabulary, or anything else that you notice that is relevant. Maybe I was thinking, do they have part of their profile is whether or not they have access to reading material. What does that look like in their classroom and maybe at home? You're going to outline then the assessments used to evaluate the student's reading abilities. Just tell us what that beginning material is, and then analyze the assessments used to determine their strengths and weaknesses, highlighting areas that are helping you to focus your intervention. So that's the section on the assessments and evaluation. And then you're going to develop an intervention plan that is very specific to that particular student's reading challenges. You need specific goals, objectives, strategies for each area of that in need. If it's all of those, decoding, fluency, and comprehension, you got a big challenge ahead. It may just be certain specific areas. And I'm hoping here that, let me turn around here, our book, When Kids Can't, Older Kids Can't Read, will help guide some of this. She has lots of great resources and some lesson plans. I think the part that we're moving into is really going to this in this next module coming up is really going to help you focus in on some strategies that you might find useful. She is not the end all. She is just one resource that I thought you might find useful in your work. If you have other people that you would like to follow, by all means too. There's also Jan Richardson, someone that I use, gosh, excuse my back. Jan Richardson primarily works with younger students, but this one goes all the way up through grade 8. But she also has some very specific strategies in a cycle. And then, of course, there's others that I'm sure you may have. But the idea is that I don't want you to do a hit and miss type of thing. I want this to be grounded in data, and I want you to be very specific in terms of, well, what are you trying to do to help this student? I am not by any means assessing that your success rate. That's for you to determine in your reflection here. So you're going to implement the strategies that you choose or the process and the approach, and you're going to monitor the progress of this growth or the progress of this particular student over approximately 8 weeks. Also keep tabs on any kind of communication that you have so that you are really building a case study. So what are all the parameters that influence the intervention that you are applying for one particular student that is an older reader? And then you're going to reflect and determine what kinds of things you would change based on what you have learned about the student and what you found. And you'll write a conclusion and summarize your key findings. So in the sense that it is a research project, this is not a research project that is being published. This is a research project for purposes of this assignment for this course. Therefore, the information is not going anywhere outside of this class and between you and me, and you certainly can share it with families, but you're the family of the student and the teacher. So therefore, we do not need to get an IRB unless we're moving into some sort of formal research that you would want to do something with. But if you would like some sort of formal invitation of something like that to share, you just let me know. We'll figure out what we need to do. So you're doing a case study. At this point in time, you should have identified someone to work with. You're implementing an intervention to help the student become a stronger reader. This is an older reader. And you're going to write up your plan, write up a profile of the student, identify the assessments that are being used to figure out how the student is doing and how they're progressing. Obviously, your starting data may be more formalized information. However, your progress monitoring will be less formal forms of assessment, and you're certainly welcome, and you should include that at the end of your various different lessons to let us know how things are progressing. And then you'll summarize your key findings and draw up some conclusions on what would you do next for this student. This should help you in your role as a teacher in the classroom, but also to help be able to offer information as a coach or as a literacy leader to other team members. So please do let me know what your thoughts are about this assignment and who your student is. I will be sending out a poll, probably a survey form, and asking you to fill it out with where you stand as a status of the class on this particular assignment so that you can get started This is not something that you can wait to do at the very end because you won't have time to have all of these various different meetings. And we'll leave it from there. So let me know what kind of questions you have, and we'll talk again later. Thank you. Bye-bye.